Hello, hello. Well, very bad of me. I forgot to do Tuesday tea time, chat time. Yeah, I seem to have lost it this week, but it's one of those things. But anyway, this week, Tuesday tea time, I'm going to talk about Alison Botha. She wrote the book I Have Life. I'm not too sure if any of you have read the book, but those that have read it, including myself, it's an eye opener. But I'm going to give you a brief summary before I go into the book. Um, Alison's story is one of the incredible survival and resilience that any woman can do. On December the 18th, 1994, Alison was abducted near her home in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, where she was brutally attacked by two men. Their names, Frans Toit and Kruger, who raped, stabbed, and disemboweled her. They left her for dead, but Alison's will to live was extraordinary. Despite her severe injuries, Alison managed to crawl to a nearby road where she was eventually found and assisted by a passing motorist. Her attackers were later apprehended and sentenced to life imprisonment. Alison's story has been shared through her book I Have Life and an award-winning documentary titled Alison. Alison's courage and determination has inspired many people around the world. She has become a motivational speaker, sharing her story to empower others to overcome their challenges. So we're going to go to a little bit more detail of the book. So go and grab your tea. I'll be back soon. Right, so let's get back to I Have Life. On December the 18th, as I've said before, Alison was abducted near her home in South Africa. And by the end of the night, she was raped, stabbed, and disemboweled. But somehow she managed to live. And it's really, it takes it takes that oomph in a person that you want to fight and show the world. And she amazes me. But let's carry on with the story. It was just an ordinary, I'm getting tongue tied today. Forgive me, people. It was just an ordinary night out with her friends. Alison drove back to her apartment in Port Elizabeth. But as soon as the 27-year-old parked her car, a man with a knife forced his way in. The attacker ordered Botha to move to a different seat, trapping her inside her own vehicle. He then drove her car to pick up an accomplice, and it was immediately clear that the two men had plans for her, which was not going to end well. Both his captors, later identified as Frans Toit and Kruger, took her to a deserted area on the outskirts of town. There they brutally raped her, disemboweled her, and slashed her throat so deeply that she was nearly decapitated. Finally, they left her for dead in a clearing. But Botha was still breathing, and this is what she thought to herself. I realized my life was too valuable to let go. She later said, and that gave me the courage to survive. This is the story of Alison Botha and her incredible will to live. The abduction of Alison, she was born on September the 22nd in 1967 in Port Elizabeth. Her parents divorced when she was 10 years old, and Botha spent most of her childhood living with her mother and brother. In her early years, Botha led a fairly normal life. She served as head girl at her high school. When she finished her education, she spent a few years traveling. After she returned home, Botha found a job as an insurance broker, which she enjoyed. The night of her attack seemed like an ordinary night, at least at first. After spending some time at the beach with her friends, Botha brought them back to their apartment for pizza and games. When most of the group left, Botha drove her last friend home. Then Bertha headed back to her apartment. But she couldn't make it inside. After Bertha parked her car, she reached towards the passenger seat to grab her bag of clean laundry to take inside, but suddenly felt a gust of warm air. A man with a knife had opened the driver's door. "Move over or I'll kill you," he said. Terrified, Bertha did as she was told. The man took control of the car and soon sped away. "I don't want to hurt you," said the man, who identified himself as Clinton. "I just want to use your car for an hour." Clinton, whose real name was Frans, then travelled to another part of Port Elizabeth to pick up his friend Venus. The men then took Alison to a secluded area just outside the city. Frozen, both knew something horrible was about to happen to her. Frans and Tinas told Alison that they were going to have sex with her. They asked her if she would fight them. Clearly trapped and terrified for her life, Botha said no. The two men, who had a history of violence against women, both raped her, and they were soon determined to kill her as well, as they tried to suffocate her. But even though she lost consciousness, she still clung to life. Frustrated, Toit and Kruger took their brutality to the next level. They stabbed Botha at least 30 times in the abdomen. Botha later recalled that Toit wanted to mutilate her reproduction organs, but somehow the attackers missed those parts of her body. When Botha's leg twitched, Toit and Kruger decided the job wasn't quite done yet. They then slit her throat 16 times. All I could see was her arm moving above my face, Alison later recalled. Left and right, and left and right. His movements was making a sound, a wet sound. It was the sound of my flesh being slashed open. He was cutting my throat with a knife, again and again and again. Both his mind struggled to make sense of what was happening to her. It felt unreal, but it wasn't, she said. I felt no pain, but it was not a dream. This was happening. The man was slashing my throat. As the men finally stepped back, Bertha heard them admiring their work and speaking in Afrikaans. "Do you think she's dead?" one of the attackers asked. "No one can survive that," the other replied. Apparently satisfied that they had killed her, Toit and Kruger drove away, but little did they know that Bertha was still breathing. Lying alone at the top, sand and broken glass, Bertha knew, "I had to at least leave a clue about who did this to me." She decided to write the names of her attackers in the dirt. Then beneath that she wrote, "I love Mom." But soon Bertha realized she may just have a chance to survive. In the distance, she could see headlights streaking through the bushes. If she could just manage to get onto that road, somebody might be able to help her. So for today, I'm going to leave it there. I'm sorry about the mess up of the words. Yeah, it's just been one of those weeks. But if you can find the book, go and read it online or download it. It's a horrible story. It's horrific. It's just not right. But she has taught so many people, men, women, children, to have that will, to be strong. And if you fight something, you will see the results. So, yeah, that is, like I say, horrific. But I am so pleased that we're going to do this book. And I'll be back next week, Tuesday, at the right time, and we'll conclude the book. Thank you, everybody. Sorry about the late Tuesday, which is now Thursday, but it's okay. It's not a problem. See you soon now.